Well, hello everyone. Let me welcome you all across Europe. We are really happy to present to you the festival Democracy 2.0. And I would like to welcome you here from Schwere Reiter in Munich. Let me shortly introduce ourselves. So this is Katja Kettner, my colleague. She is one of the artistic directors of the Chorus project, in which context this festival takes place. And I am Elsa Büsing, I'm the producer of the Chorus project. So we two together, we curated this festival, and we are really happy that we will be joined by our artistic partners in 4 different countries. And we two will be the hosts and moderators of the next 4 days.
Yes, well, we are in the festival Democracy 2.0, and it takes place in the framework of the international cooperation project, the Chorus project, which has been running since 2018 and deals with the Aeschylus Oresteia. And we have some questions for the next 4 days. Who is the Chorus today? Who gets to speak? Who is being narrated by? Who is writing history? Which changes of perspective are necessary?
And based on our artistic examination and overwriting in conversations, lectures, performances, we will also question recent history, the democratic and perhaps also the undemocratic developments of recent years, and we will take a look from their roots towards a future to be shaped together.
We're questioning unheard voices, justice and injustice. We're questioning democracy is needed and what is the Chorus today. And we want to end with a party on Saturday night with the Oresteia reading.
So again, welcome to this first talk of the festival with the title International Co-Production Solidarity is Our Survival Kit. And very welcome to our partners from the different countries. It's a cooperation between the Pathos Munich with Upstart Theatre in London, UK, with Mökitzer Youth Cultural Center Skopje in North Macedonia, and with the Theater am Lenz Graz in Austria.
Yes, and the chat is now open. Please leave your comments, questions, emojis about all our topics and your experience. We are very interested to hear your chat questions, and we will go later on it and try to answer.
Last but not least, I would like to thank our supporters, the program, the Creative Europe program of the European Union, the Kulturstiftung der Stadtsparkasse München, the Bezirk Oberbayern, and the Culture Department of the City of Munich. And now I would suggest a quick introduction round to our directing team and artistic partners. Please, Angelika, would you like to start?
Well, hello. My name is Angelika Fink, and I'm the artistic director of the Chorus project, the Munich team, and I really welcome you. I'm very happy to see you, the team of the Chorus project. And I'm also happy that there is hopefully audience to join our meeting. Well, I am in Munich in a kind of self-ordered quarantine. And on my way to Schwere Reiter yesterday on the Creative Quarter, when I passed from Nymphenburger Straße to Lazarettstraße to Dachauer Straße to the Creative Quarter, it really came to my mind that's very sad, and it's a pity that we cannot meet personally and that we cannot show our works that grew in this 3 years, and that we cannot talk together, and that we cannot have the live performances and the talks. I really consider very important the talks before the show and after the show, which gives so many and important artistic impulses to artists and the audience also. And from that on, I thought, well, in what a real global nightmare we are in at the moment. And then I came to the program of our festival Democracy 2.0, and I saw the first topic, solidarity as a survival kit, and I thought, yes, we need survival kits. In the next thought, I thought solidarity, it's a big word. It's solidarity, solidarność, and freedom. These are these big words, and we seldom we really think what is behind these words. And so I would like to share with you my thoughts about solidarity. So solidarity, it's from its Latin origins, solidus, what means to have a good foundation. For instance, when you build a house, a good basic. And solidarity can exist between persons and in smaller or larger groups. And it's so simple. It means to help and to support each other. And solidarity appears mostly as a free impulse. And it can exist in different forms, in family solidarity, spontaneous solidarity, organized solidarity, chosen solidarity. Solidarity is a basic value in modern democracies. The solidarity principles mean that human beings and citizens are not only responsible for themselves, they are also responsible for other members of the group and the society they are living in, also for the weaker members, for instance. So, solidarity is a basic tool to connect human beings or to widen the circle. We can also feel solidarity with animals and the nature, which I consider very important, as we know. Solidarity is an ethical and political attitude. And now comes the tricky point. Of course, the tool of solidarity can be used in different contexts. It can be and is misused for ideologies and dictatorial approaches as well. That is the bad news. So let's come to the good news now. Art exists. It is real. And it has the potential to guide us through evolutionary, political, and pandemic crisis. The connection of art and solidarity can evolve an immense humanitarian force and development in societies. But what means solidarity and the connection of art and solidarity in art projects or collaborations like we worked in since 2018 in the Chorus project? I want to distinguish three phases of solidarity in an international collaboration. The first step is the pre-solidarity. This is the phase from the idea, I don't know if you remember, Tom, the basic idea in 2017, after the first project we worked together, Phone Home, in the office where we said, okay, we want to make another project. We need a strong text. What do we do? What has three parts to work in 3 cities? It's the Oristaya. Yeah, so the first step is the idea and the concept of the project, the process of finding partners, the process of the application until you get the funding and the money you need to realize the project. So this phase also includes many risks because you don't know each other that well, because you work for an idea. You find also the local co-producing partners. and the artists to work with, and you mostly do not get money for it, for this work. This phase can at least last between 1 and 2 years. So the next step is I just want to give a small frame, and after there's a few minutes I open the space, but I think it's good to have an open or a kind of keynote. The collaboration solidarity, this is the phase from the point where you get the international funding and try to get the local funding, what is rather difficult, as we know. And parallel, it's the phase where you rehearse and work artistically, including the workshops in their own cities, the travels to the partners. This phase contains a big potential for conflict and also unexpected circumstances, so like a global crisis, for instance, where you cannot rehearse anymore live or where you cannot travel anymore. So in the third phase, which I consider very important, we are in now is the sustainable solidarity. This is the final phase of the project, the phase of trust, where artistic relationship can shift to personal relationships. It's the time of evaluation and documentation and the start of planning the next projects. The seeds of the projects grow and enlarge in the field into the socio-cultural context. So just a few more words to the Oresteia. Aeschylus' Oresteia, it's a trilogy with an unknown satyr play dealing with blood guilt and the ongoing circle of cruelty in a family of rulers written 2,500 years ago. So Aeschylus' play is about processes in a family, personal and political processes, which is a mirror for ancient societies to show how democratic values can develop or not. And Aeschylus wrote it in the concept of a parable, very well constructed. And with the chorus, he installed an instrument to give a voice to the citizens. The chorus acts besides the protagonists that slaughter one after each other. And the chorus comments the actions. It reflects on the past, the present, and the future. Well, so far, so good or bad. The Oresteia is definitely a nightmare story too. It's not a romantical story. It fits in our present and global situation very well. And with the festival Democracy 2.0, curated by Katja Kettner and Elsa Büsing, and together with this big group of international Solidarian artists, we represent, we open and share our research and artistic work to the public to join and to discuss some of the important and urgent questions of our time. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelika. Very important words, and I still would like to ask our partners to introduce themselves shortly, and then I think we can go straight into the discussion about some of the topics you just mentioned, Angelika. Ivica, would you like to start?
Hello. Thank you for this talk and for everything that we've done until now and what we do now. I'm Ivica Dimitrijevic. I'm project coordinator and director from MKC Team Skopje, Macedonia, or now North Macedonia. So in 2 years or 3 years, how long we run this project, a lot of things happens, even we change our name in our country. So I'm part of, I'm very, very happy, and I'm glad that I was part, and I'm still part of this international project, and that I have this opportunity to be part of this kind of project, and I learned a lot of things through this, to these 2 years that we run the project. So that will be for me for now. And we can talk later for solidarity and everything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivica. Tom, would you be next?
Hi everybody, I'm Tom Mansfield. I'm Artistic Director of Upstart Theatre, a theatre company in a large city in a small overpopulated island just off the coast of Europe. I've been part of the Chorus project since the beginning, and Angelika, thank you for those words. It's really exciting and inspiring to be reminded of the value of our collaboration in particular and the solidarity that exists within the Chorus project team and how it exists as a metaphor as well as a concrete action in broader European, in the widest sense, solidarity. I'm sure that's a topic that we'll be discussing more formally later in the festival, but I'm sure that's something that might come up when we talk this evening as well. But that's all from me for now. Great to be here with everybody.
Thank you, Tom. And Edith, please.
Hi, I'm Edith. I'm from the team in Graz. And for us it was great to be in this project because it allows us to work together with elderly people, and it's a very important work we did with these people because it's about remembering and try to forget things. And this is a very important topic, especially for Austria, because we are famous that we are happy to forget important things. And so this is one thing to ask, which things we have to remember and which things are so important that they should be part of the collective remembering. And this is for me the importance of this project in Austria. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Edith. And I would just like to start with the very beginning of the project, because now Angelika and Tom mentioned this. So I would like to ask Tom to talk a bit more about the beginnings of this project, how it came together. And Angelika said about sustainable solidarity where artistic relationships turn into personal ones. And I think this is a core how this project came together. And so Tom, I would really like for you to talk about this.
Absolutely. So the Chorus project, as Angelika mentioned, grew out of an earlier project that Angelika and Katja and I had been involved in called Phone Home. And this was another project co-funded by Creative Europe, the Creative Europe programme of the European Union, in which three theatre companies, Pathos and Upstart and Highway Productions in Greece, had come together to explore questions around what's sometimes referred to as the refugee crisis, but is now often talked about more accurately as the Great Migration Crisis of 2015, migration situation even of 2015 into 16. We presented that show in, if I remember rightly, October of 2016, and quite early on in the creative process for that, we had a conversation between myself and Katja and Angelika about how we might be able to work together in future. We felt that our artistic outlooks were similar, and our kind of approach to theatre as a political form was also quite similar, but we complemented each other in some quite interesting ways. We were similar enough to make it congenial and interesting to work together, and we were different enough, I think, to make the prospect of another collaboration, be something that we could learn from as well and create some unusual artistic ideas. And one thing that we had found in Phone Home, the previous project, was that there wasn't enough time for exchange and learning. We quite rapidly on that project had jumped into a process of making work, And as Angelika mentioned in her earlier remarks, one of the big challenges of this kind of international work is that we're crossing boundaries. It's very easy to enter into these kinds of national, a lot of is
okay. Maybe
Tom,
there's...
I'm sorry, but your connection just got a bit worse.
Ah, okay. The joys of working online. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Yes, we can. Maybe I have a question to Edith. I have a question to Edith and Ivica. How did you came to the project, and what was your interest to do such a collaboration project with this international team?
For me, it's always very interesting to do international collaborations. We have a lot of this project done in the past, and so I was really happy when we were asked to join the project, and we were connected with one director, the director of our part, Christian Winkler, and he asked me if I'm interested in to step in this project. And then for me it was very interesting that it gives us the opportunity again, because this is a work I really like, to work, to bring in a collaboration actors and artists and non-actors, and to use the knowledge of these normal people, to say, to develop the play. And so I was really happy that there was the chance to step in.
So for me, all this step into the project was based on solidarity somehow, and also it was interesting. I will try to explain, because also I was my connection to this project is Christian Winkler from the Graz team. So he mentioned that in one talk he mentioned that Angelika somehow contacted him for this project, and that Angelika and all other team searched for a partner from this part of Europe. And I was in Munich just to watch his opening night of his performance. I was there. I just stay in his flat, and then I have one day without flat. So he introduced me to Angelika, and Angelika invites me to be her guest. So everything started from personal, and then and then continue with all of this that we have now. And after that, we talk about this project, and I just back in Macedonia and try to find partners here, and I do that. So, and we were on board. So because we talk about solidarity, so my step into this project was solidarity of Angelika to invite me to sleep at her flat that night. Somehow it's connected with that. And yes, for me was because it's the first time to be in this position, in this kind of big international project, and I was so afraid, because I have a lot of responsibility about everything, and I don't know a lot of things, but I learned a lot through this project. So I was like, I have this feeling like I'm a little boy who now run around you and learn and just feel, okay, this works like this. I hear something from Edith or from Angelika. I will do this like that, and so that was my feeling, and as I say in the beginning, I'm very thankful about all of this, and yeah, there is that. We have solidarity through this project all the time somehow.
Thank you. I would like to come back to the core of the Chorus project, which is, as the name says, the chorus. So I would ask you to shortly describe how you try to work out for yourselves what is the chorus in your projects, and how did you decide to work with whom parts of the citizens. So I think, Edith, you also mentioned this earlier, but I think it would be great if you could start to tell us more about it. I think you have to unmute yourself first.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, we had the task to make a reconstruction of the satyr play. And for us it was immediately clear that we will work with elderly people. This is something we did also before. And I personally found it very interesting to hear about the stories they tell us about their experience and all this stuff. So we said the way to reconstruct the satyr play is also the way to reconstruct our remembering as a society. So it was clear that the chorus, our chorus, are the elderly people, and they are very important because they are the memory of the society. And we and our identity, we are depending on their remembering. And so this was the impulse to say, okay, there are certain topics in the satyr play, and we try to talk with the people about their experience in this topic, like sexuality, like love, like revolution and all this stuff. And they told us what they experienced, and out of these talks Christian Winkler, as a writer, started to write the play. So it was a text coming out from the people, but go through a transformation, and then this text come back to the people because they were a very important part of the performance, or they are a very important part of the performance. And during the work it was quite clear that there exists this collective ideas, who we are, what we are experienced, how we think about special topics and situations, and that this gave us our shape. But this is also not only important for the person, it's also important for all of us living in one nation or living in one part of the world like Europe. And when I say Europe, then of course UK is for me Europe, because I don't believe only in the political part. I think there is a very, very long story, common story, and this is also part of this work, to say, okay, let's go for these stories and let's make a transformation of our current situation out of the past and going there for the future. And it's an important thing to search for the strong feelings and thoughts which gave us the courage to work for a better future. And this was the work of Chorus for me.
Yes, well, thank you, Edith. I have a short question. I mean, we titled this as a chorus project, and you all did workshops. Please maybe open a bit, because we said even we can't perform, we can open the whole bunch of material we collected the whole 3 years long. And for me, it would be very interesting if you would talk, the other ones, maybe a bit about how did you choose your chorus, and also how the workshop were going, and why did you choose different generations, and also with the topic of unheard voices, for instance.
I think it's a huge responsibility to, if you are talking about the public, which the Oris Diet does, to put that public on stage. You certainly, when I began to think about the third part of the Oris Diet, in the third part of the trilogy, as written by Aeschylus, this is where Orestes he's fled to Athens, and he asks the goddess Athena for asylum, and Athena decides to hold a trial. And it's the only time I know of in Greek drama where you see all the citizens come onto the stage, not only as the chorus performing the actions, and of course that was standard in Greek tragedy, in Athenian tragedy, but you also see them being the people of Athens, the people of the city in which they were performing the play itself. So it felt really important, and it's a key reason why we call this project the Chorus Project, that we have the ability to see that community, whether we see them on stage or whether we see them as part of the creative process of making the works, or both. And so what the approach that me and my team took was we knew that we wanted to see the public on stage. We knew that we wanted to see ordinary citizens become part of the drama. And so in order to achieve that, we felt that we needed to work with a theatre that already had a civic role. So we approached Birmingham Repertory Theatre in the West Midlands, here in the UK. And we worked with some of their existing community companies. So they work with hundreds of people across the city of Birmingham and the wider region every week. And they have a couple of particular groups who we approached, which was the Adult Drama Company and the Young Rep. The Adult Drama Company are people who come from the areas of Birmingham and its wider region that have been considered statistically to be suffering from deprivation of various kinds. And the Rep had launched a targeted programme to engage specifically with people from those areas of the city. And those areas are all very diverse. They have people from all sorts of backgrounds. Birmingham is the youngest city in the UK. Apart from London, it's one of the most ethnically diverse. And that felt really important as well, and was a key reason why our show, Beneath the City, made some of the choices that it did. And that group of people was generally aged about sort of 35 and up. I think our oldest participants are in their 70s. But we also work with a few members of their youth theatre aged between 18 and 25. And we felt like that kind of intergenerational aspect to our chorus was really, really important, because what you see when you get to the third part of the Oris Diet, when you get to the Eumenides, is that whole community reflected on stage. And one of the things that I'm most proud of in our contribution to the Chorus Project was that we were able to bring together a very diverse group of people, some of whom had performed on stage before, some of whom had never performed on a stage. And we were able, as well as an adaptation of Aeschylus' story, we were also able to incorporate sections of them responding in their own words to some of the questions that we were asking in the project. What is democracy? What is justice? Have you ever been the victim of, or have you seen an injustice taking place, and how does it make you feel? And so weaving that to create the text of the show alongside a more formal text felt powerful and important. And that's an element that in the audio project that you'll be able to see later this week on Friday, that became an even bigger element. So what we found throughout the process, in a way, I feel like our experience has sort of been a backwards version of the process that perhaps some of the other artists on the team have had, where we started by making something that felt very formal and structured, and that had like quite a hierarchical power dynamic in its creation, to moving towards making something our final output, I suppose, which is much more about the voices of the individual participants, and then how we can weave them together to tell a story that feels as important and as resonant.
Thank you. And I think, Ivica, you decided to work with a group of younger people. Could you talk about the process?
Yes, it was because at the beginning we say we don't know which part, which tiller. So somehow I like to work the second part that we in the end worked that, but because we were in that moment, we were in a really tricky political situations, and there was a lot of protests against previous government. There was a big hope that something will be changed, and that we will have a new government that will stop the how to say previous way where previous governments drive our country, and in that why we choose to work with young people. It was because some of those protests were start from them. For example, they start some high school protests against some changes that previous government made it, and also then students start the student protests, and I think from these student protests everything started to be bigger and bigger. And because of all of these political circumstances in our country, and because of this hope that something new will happen after, we choose to work with these young people that they are still not eligible to vote, because and try to talk with them and ask them what they mean and what they think about democracy, and how democracy needs to look, or how look for what is their idea for democracy. And because they will be the next voters, and they can change through voting or not change. We don't know, but we start from the point that if the voting is kind of how to say, if voting is part of democracy, then what will be their idea, and how they think they can change the whole situation. And through this process, we worked with them, and there was a lot of interesting things that they tell us, and we incorporate these through in our show and in our digital performance also. And it was interesting that a lot of time they spent on social media, not only young people, but also I think a lot of older people here in Macedonia, it's somehow we are somehow dependent on social networks. And through these talks, we find this idea that our chorus will be presented through Facebook chat or Facebook posts and everything else. And we use their ideas, their talks about what they think it will happen and how they can change the things, and we incorporate in that. It's a little bit sad in the end because through these social networks and through this writing on the social network, a lot of good ideas change to or fall apart, and a lot of starting anger for not anger but starting how to say energy for doing something just fall apart because on social networks and people start with some idea and then everything fall apart because everyone can join the talk and start to talk everything like talk trash talk etc. So suddenly after a while your starting idea is nowhere. And yeah, that was our idea why we choose to work with these young people, because we thought and still we think that if there is some hope that something can change, the hope is on them.
Thank you, Ivica. Angelika, the Munich team decided to overwrite the first part of the Oresteia. We had one sentence like, we are not responsible for the story. What is the idea behind this overwriting? Why is it so necessary to overwrite this old trilogy?
I don't know if it's necessary. We just did it as an impulse, as an artistic impulse, because we considered that the story has to brought to a new perspective, a female perspective, and we concentrated on the female voices, so they are mostly silent in Aeschylus' text. Or they are victims, they are dead in the past, or they are somehow hellsichtig. What does this mean in English? If you know the future, like Cassandra.
Like so, a prophecy.
And they are, because of that, they are blamed. So they have special abilities. And this is why we brought in a female and in the further spectrum, a queer perspective. Yeah. And to the chorus, I wanted to add one thing, because we choose in the original in Agamemnon, it's the chorus of the elders. And we worked in Munich with the Seniorenbörse. It's a foundation for elderly people. I think Katrin Deltgen she will be today here and she will tell more about it. Sorry, I'm sorry, I have a cold. It's not Corona, I have a test. And young people, so we worked with the Gymnasium in Munich.
Mm-hmm. I would jump into, if it's okay, because time is running a bit. We have a lot of questions on our paper, but I think to come back to our title, Solidarity, I want to ask you, what was challenging and what was surprising you in the whole 3 years process, artistically, also in the way of how to organize and the pandemic situation? Tell me more about this, please.
Sorry? Did you ask me?
No, it's to all of you the question, challenges and surprises in international collaborations.
Well, I think we can all agree coronavirus was a bit of a surprise. At the risk of sounding flippant, when you have a world event that completely upends your plans, you really need to prepare yourself for making quite drastic changes to what it is that you plan to do. And I think one thing that the coronavirus situation revealed to me is the difference in the ways in which our different organisations worked on a producing level. I don't want to spend too much time talking about production and money and those things because I don't think they're necessarily important. But when you come down to the politics of international collaboration, it becomes about money and it becomes about resources. It can't avoid being about those things. And when I say that the coronavirus revealed the sort of radical differences in the way that our organisations work, I think a lot of that is due to national funding setups for the independent sector. So for the non-state theatres. I have to say that I was overwhelmed by the solidarity and support shown to my company and me by all the partners on the Chorus project. It's been really wonderful, but we've had some really major problems. I mean, every country in Europe and every country in the world has had major problems in dealing with the coronavirus pandemic, and I think many of us in Europe would say that we're really quite lucky on lots of ways, but certainly the cultural sector here in the United Kingdom has been nearly destroyed by coronavirus. It's very difficult even to talk about, because right now we have no sense of not only when theatres are going to be able to reopen fully, we also don't have any sense of what the funding settlement is going to be for UK organisations, particularly English organisations, because we're funded at the national level here. So we're funded by the Arts Council of England rather than a UK-wide funding body. And the way most independent organisations run here in England is that we are funded project to project by the Arts Council. So we ask them for a grant for each project that we do, and sometimes for each phase of each project that we do. So for us, going into this project, we were hit by, first of all, being unsuccessful in some early grant applications, and then planned our budgeting so that we would essentially be funded by Creative Europe for the first phase of our work. And then we finished that phase of our work, and that's when everything went into lockdown because of the pandemic. So then suddenly we found ourselves having to radically rethink how we were going to be able to do the second stage of the project. And that's where I think artistically one finds solidarity all over the place. My connections tell me it's unstable, which is also how I feel a little bit when talking about these issues. But there is I think it's always possible to learn artistically from one another and to gain. But what I've been really struck by working with all of you on this call actually is like the flexibility and support and understanding that you all had at a time when I felt like periodically my organisation is a week, 2 weeks away from completely closing. And that's not really to do with the Chorus project. We could be doing any project and we'd have the same sense, but there's something in being animated by solidarity and by the idea of democracy that I think has encouraged us to work closely together and to support one another and to build those new relationships in a way that perhaps a piece that wasn't as politically motivated would be. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me on this particular project has just been sort of seeing the troubles that we're all in and how we can work together to. I don't think we will come out of this crisis stronger. Honestly, I think it might be different in Germany, it might be different in Austria, it might be different in North Macedonia. My country will not come out of this crisis stronger. And we're going to need you guys for a really long time. I was very moved when Edith said that for her the UK is part of Europe, and of course it is. Of course it is. But actually what we've seen on a larger political level in recent weeks, actually, is from a European Commission perspective, the UK is not part of Europe. The UK is a third country. We are a competitor nation. And that means that we will not be able to be lead partners on, for example, Creative Europe cooperation projects. Due to a political British decision, I should say, it's not the European Commission taking it against us or something. And although we're now a third country, and I think it's really, again, we'll talk more about this week, but that feeling of moving from being at the heart of Europe to being at the edge is something that's happened really, has coincided with the timeline of us making this project. And so it will always, for me, be associated with that process of not leaving exactly, but being different in status at the end of a project to how we do that. I'm on the looking myself.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think, in my perspective, is what we are doing at the moment, right now, is a way, one thing of the solidarity, because we all would prefer to perform live. I mean, it was planned to have all you here on this stage, but we didn't said, okay, it's so depressive. We decided, okay, what can we do? What kind of solution can we find? And we said, okay, even it's only 2 months and we expected to perform here, we create something new, and we can only create it together. Nobody can create alone any single thing. Okay, you can do a monologue, but that's the thing of international co-productions and collaborations, that we said, okay, since we have the corona crisis, the communication in our team was much stronger in a way, because of course we had to change to the meetings, to the digital communication, but since then we are much more in a fluent communication, and we decided immediately, of course, we think art is necessary. It's an urgent chorus voice in our society, and that's why we decided all together to do this festival. And I mean, I'm so, yes, well, I would know so many more. I want to tell you and ask you so many more questions, but yes, well, I'm so sorry, time is running, but we have the other 3 days, and we go much more deeper in these unheard voices and democracy is needed, and all the questions we have. Maybe, Elsa, should we moderate to the next in our program now? What is the time saying?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
it's 00. I'm so sorry. And what is in the chat? Maybe there's a question in the chat.
No, no, there's not.
No.
But I just wanted to add that this actually is one of the impacts and that theater can have. We can have these conversations to a broader audience, and we still can participate with each other. We can continue these talks and put something together, even during these really strange and difficult times. So I'm really, really glad that you all were here for this opening talk with all the difficulties we talked about, but it's still really good to hear your voices and to see your faces. So thank you to have this conversation with us, and we're really looking forward to all the next discussions we'll have during the next days. So I would just like to introduce the next event today. It's at 7 p.m. a lecture by Katja Kettner And it's about unheard voices. It's a piece on rewriting the history and questions of who gets to speak and whose voices get heard, which of course are one of the core questions of the Chorus project and of democracy. So thank you again, and I hope we will see each other soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao. Bye.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to you all across Europe. We are really happy to present the festival Democracy 2.0 as part of the Chorus project, an international collaboration between Pathos Munich, the Upstart Theatre, London, United Kingdom, Mikotce Youth Cultural Center in Skopje, North Macedonia, and the Theater am Lenz in Graz in Austria. Let me shortly introduce myself. I'm Elsa Büsing. I'm the producer of the Chorus project, and together with Katja Kettner, one of the artistic directors and the dramaturg of the Chorus project, I curated the festival and will be the moderator. So now we will see and hear a lecture by Katja Kettner on Unheard Voices, Rewriting History. It is a piece on who gets to speak and whose voices are heard, one of the core questions of the Chorus project. So please enjoy.
Iphigenia, I'm your sacrifice. Agamemnon, not mine. Iphigenia, I'm your sacrifice. Agamemnon, a sacrifice to the gods, not to me. Iphigenia, I am a sacrifice. I'm your daughter, sacrificed to the gods, your flesh and blood. Agamemnon, my flesh and blood for the gods, taken from my arms, taken from my hands. Iphigenia, from your hands, from your heart. Chorus, honor the gods, honor the sacrifice. Iphigenia, honor whom, for what? Chorus, child, you ask too many questions. Iphigenia, give honor where honor is due, but I am a sacrifice, honored only as a victim. My own flesh and blood? I understand none of this. Chorus, there's nothing to understand, nothing to ask. You are a sacrifice to the gods, so let yourself be honored. Iphigenia, Agamemnon, father, I am your sacrifice. Agamemnon, I groaned when I heard the seer's advice. Iphigenia, you groaned. In reality, it is the victim who groans. Since when do the perpetrators groan? How do you have the right to accept the advice of the gods with a groan? And nevertheless, with your own hands, your own flesh and blood. Agamemnon, would you have preferred someone else to do it? Honor bound I was to do this with my own hands, when my own flesh and blood was to be sacrificed. Iphigenia, I am your sacrifice. Agamemnon, not the old song again. Your lamentations have rung in my ears ever since. You are my tinnitus, I accept that, and it has accompanied me all through that never-ending battle of Troy. Iphigenia, father, I'm your Cassandra, sacrifice, yours. I am your sacrifice. Agamemnon, not mine. Cassandra, I am your sacrifice. Agamemnon, my arms did not carry you here. Cassandra, I am your victim, sacrificed of your hands. To be continued. Those who have no text are probably not present. Okay, well, the actress in the scene is not present. Whoever does not speak will have been there for no one. Who has no text doesn't come on stage and is certainly not in the spotlight. Those who have nothing to say should remain silent. Whoever is silent has nothing to say, therefore are not present. So what is a being if it doesn't speak, doesn't raise its voice? Neither for nor against someone, something, not observing, not for itself, not for the other. Who does not raise their voice is not present, is not being part of history. There will be nothing to report, because nothing was said. How many words do you need to surround the silence? Eloquence without words speaks for itself, speaks for those who do not speak, who will not be part of history. They won't be there when we begin to speak. I asked myself, where is Electra? Why does she say nothing? Okay, she is simply absent from the first part. Is someone who does not speak not present? Or is it the other way around? Is she present and just not speaking? Let's go back again. Who decides who speaks? Electra? Iphigenia, maybe? Cassandra? Cassandra, yes, she speaks. But none of the old men who are the chorus in the first part listens. Heroes kill themselves sooner or later, or are killed, or fail. Oh Jason, Medea cursed you, and you grow old on the wreck of the Argo. What surprise glory! Ich habe auch eine Weile gebraucht, das Gendersternchen flüssig zu sprechen. Aber es lohnt sich, wenn man damit anwesend sein kann. Wer schreibt Geschichte? Wer entscheidet, wer anwesend sein kann? Wer schreibt wessen Geschichte? Benjamin, noch immer. Die Geschichte schreiben die Sieger. Wie alt ist das jetzt schon? Wer schweigt, ist systemstützend. Wer nicht mehr genannt wird, ist nicht Teil des systemrelevanten Diskurses. Submissive, ja, trotzdem. Wer nicht Nein sagt, spielt mit, auch unbenannt. Wortloses Arrangement. Reden ist Silber, Schweigen ist Gold. Schweigen ist eine Kraft. Ja, danke, schön, es reicht. Das muss verinnerlicht werden, dieses Schweigen zuzulassen. Jede Geschichte ist auch eine Geschichte der Zurichtung. Aber wenn dann das Sprechen anfängt, lässt es sich nicht mehr aufhalten. Die Stimme erhebend tritt sich eine Lawine los. Me too, Nein heißt Nein, das ist eine Lust. Da ändert sich nicht gleich die ganze Welt, wenn es so einfach wäre, aber da wird eine jahrhundertealte Mauer des Schweigens durchbrochen. Und dann musst du die Stimme erstmal suchen und prüfen, ob sie wirklich die deine ist. Du musst überschreiben, neu benennen. Die Worte sind verstellt und verbraucht, vernutzt. Sie benennen schon immer das andere, sind verankert im System der Sprache der Macht, der Heldengeschichten, die sich Geschichtsschreibung nennen. Also, alles nochmal auf Anfang. Who speaks? Foucault referred to the gaps in the text. We are in the blanks. The importance of what is not said grows. Our stories lies in the space between the strung together words of power. We are not responsible for the story. No, we are expanding the space. We open the gaps and let the unsaid, the unheard break through. We overwrite. We will not repeat these stories for another single day. By no means it is better, more important, truer. At first, it is just a gap an opening into the gaps. But this time we won't disappear into the gap. Malina, this time we step out. So, finally, we are here. That doesn't mean that everything suddenly changes overnight. As long as I am perceived as a sexualized body, and that is used to exclude, to limit, then this word applies. I have decided to follow a thread with this text, to pursue a new perspective. One must bear in mind there are so many underrepresented perspectives. The fundamental question, who is telling whom, which story about whom? I'm responsible for my story. But I'm not responsible for the stories old white men tell and will never repeat these kinds of stories again. We have to write our own versions, our own visions. I say, I'm here. I say, I have always been here. Where else should I have been? I'm a utopian body. And there are still a lot of spaces. If you don't want to be an us, you want to stay yourself, to be something else, to be everything. If you don't want to commit yourself, if you don't want to be committed, whatever you want to be, let's be a utopian body. We are expanding, but there's still a lot of space. Let's be how we want to be, what we want to be, new, every day. I don't know today what I will want to be tomorrow. Why should I know that? In my utopian body, I can be anything. Nichts ist nichts. Die Wahrheit ist nichts. Die Wahrheit gibt es nicht. Es gibt unendlich viele Wahrheiten. Ich erzähle wahrhaftig die Wahrheit. Ein Puzzle aus Wahrheiten. Die öffentliche Stimme gibt es nicht. Es gibt öffentliche und nicht öffentliche Stimmen. Es gibt Stimmen, die nicht gehört werden und Stimmen, die Angst haben, gehört zu werden. Und die ihre Stimme verloren haben. Oder bewusst unterdrücken. Oder noch nicht ihre Stimme gefunden haben, weil alles so laut ist, um sie herum. Weil alles so laut ist und jeder lauter als die anderen, deren Stimmen im Wege stehen. Die Hörbarkeit des multiperspektivischen Chores ist ein Murmeln, ein wirres Schreien, auf- und abschwellend, nur hört man leider kein einziges Wort. Vielleicht Wortfetzen, aber es bleibt ein Brei, über den sich die eine öffentliche Stimme erhebt. Die Welt ist so laut geworden. Man versteht kaum sein eigenes Wort. Das eigene Wort ist nicht das eigene. Niemandem gehört ein Wort. Wenn Worte Sprache ausmachen, Kultur sind, sind sie ein Raum. Wenn einige Worte den Diskurs beherrschen, beginnen sie unsere Gedanken zu beherrschen. Sie verformen anfangs fast unmerklich unseren Blick auf die Welt, den wir in Sprache ausdrücken. An den Worten wird so lange gezerrt, bis sie sich selbst nicht mehr wiedererkennen. I am not Electra. I am not Iphigenia. I am not silent. I say, I'm here. I say, I have always been here, of course. Where else am I supposed to have been? I am not Electra. I am not Iphigenia. It all started with Iphigenia. No, it all started with Helena. No, with the quarrel between the goddesses, the curse, the woman, always the woman, and the war about the woman. Well, that's reasonable. Everything began with my body and what you create out of it. If I cannot be myself, how am I ever to reach you? Who is it with you if it's not me? Not me anyway. That much is now finally certain. Body becomes before language. My body arrives with you before me, already there, even without me. Already checked out, already rated, already used, without my consent. There, look, that's a woman, that's a man, already classified by you. Too fat, too thin, too ugly, too old, too... The only chance is to be overlooked. I don't want you to see me. I don't want you to be able to pigeonhole me. Do not reply. Don't get involved in the conversation. Refuse discourse. It would be so good just to stand there, doing nothing, not speaking, not proclaiming anything. Let us look into the distance. Seek for horizon. Everyone can decide for themselves. Nobody can disallow you your silence. But you have put yourself offside. No one told you to do it. You could have opened your mouth. But I say, I'm here. I say, I am the crime scene. The argument started with my body. I take responsibility. I'm Helena. I want to experience my life. I'm Cassandra. I'm happy. Finally, something is happening. Clytemnestra. Electra says, I'm always here. I am. I? What? Who? Which? I right now. Right now, here. In the moment. Of. My. Body. A me and I. What? One who came so far. Nevertheless. Just not I. But if so, what? Who? Someone? Anyone? How much more beautiful. What? You stammer.
That was Katja Kettner's lecture, Unheard Voices, Rewriting History. Thank you very much for joining us. Next up at 8 p.m. is the premiere of the film essay It's a Journey, a road movie about the 3-year work of the artistic Munich team of the Chorus project, an international collaboration. The ticket link is now in the chat. Please join us. The artistic and performer team will also come together after the premiere to have a Q&A on our queer feministic perspectives. So please get your tickets and see you later.